when he brings up issues. I think it's really that in connection with the new vernacular that you've instituted up here, Chairperson. It's really gone to the bottom. You know, I think the city is really in dark times. I thought it was bad when we had former Mike McGuire and Richard Fersman, but we've taken it to a new
you will not do that, and so stop doing that.
I'd like to see the written rules and whose name we can use up here. Can we talk about President Obama? Would that be all right?
No.
I think people need to know.
Your comments are to be about the city and city business.
Well, that is about the city. When we can't come up here and talk about, ask questions, you know, who's running the elections, who's doing this, who's doing that. I mean, I realize that we hand out titles up here like we hand out pay raises. And so we want everybody to have a title, so let's refer to everybody by titles so nobody knows in the public who you're really talking about. No, the public wants to have names put on discussions. So, you know, it's gotten to the point, I think it's like a childhood game up here. Captain May I or Simon Says. Billy Rosbach says. That game is upsetting to people, and I think it needs to stop, and it needs to stop right away. Government-run trash. You know, Marv, I'm sorry, where the conversation starts is really where the conversation is about. When we say we're going to have a conversation, but then at the workshop, the public's not allowed to speak, of course, that's not a conversation. And when the conversation starts from the position that this is our decision, now we have to find the justification for it. You know, if we're going to do this and say, well, it's socially and economically beneficial, let's look at everything else that's service related. How about service stations? How about delivery services, FedEx, UPS? Why do we have multiples of these? We could probably get the rate better and save wear and tear on our streets. How about the proliferation of liquor stores, drug stores, taxis? You know, we could pick one sole entity and really turn this place into what? Pure socialism, dictatorship, lack of free enterprise? No, this isn't where the government belongs. It doesn't belong in my trash, and it doesn't belong in the liquor stores, it doesn't belong in the service stations, and it doesn't matter what you or how you try to justify that.
You're wrapping it up now, Bob.
I want to make a comparison between the contract that Eureka had and Tenant's contract. Why does Tenant have so many more conditions put on their contract, including going and inspecting their business inside their own property? Why weren't these things in the Eureka contract? And then answering 205's comment over there about recycling. Why didn't people raise a ruckus about recycling? Well, you know, we didn't have to, the city wasn't obligated to hold meetings on recycling. And if they would have, I'm sure the comments would have come back, just like the 1,800 postcards that came back from people saying we don't want government in our trash, and the 250 people or 300 people that showed up here. I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, folks. You know, that's when people come up there and talk, whether it's me or Dave Schilling or John Wyckoff, who they put a restraining order on so he can't come up there and talk. They put restraining orders on other people. And when Mr. Kinley, we're going to play a piece from Mr. Kinley, and then we're going to show you how they get talked down to. And, you know, Maplewood is not a welcoming city when it comes to the council. People do not feel comfortable going up and talking to their government. And you're going to see some more of this. And that's why when I talk, you know, about this article in the Star Trib today, and you know, everybody should go get that. It's really, it's not a news story, rather it's a press release by Maplewood, and this Emma Carew and is duped. You know, I talked to her. I think she's probably in her mid-20s, not too astute when it comes to being a reporter, and doesn't really understand the difference of being the press secretary for the City of Maplewood and releasing press releases for them for self-adulation and promotion. And so that's why I put a call into Nancy Barnes, the editor. You know, people, you need, when you see this kind of garbage in the newspapers and you realize it's not a news story, and when you read this about Maplewood is no longer featured in negative articles in the city pages, he said. We've taken steps in restoring a financial reputation that Maplewood enjoyed in the past. You know, you get these, see, it's all comments by the bureaucracy. It's not a citizen or a taxpayer. And so what did one of the callers last week refer to Maplewood as? Maplehood. And so it's really, it's that old game by politicians of trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And so you need to know this, and I'm not going to go through this whole article, but it's one after another of these self-promotions by the council and the city manager. And you know what's really, and you're going to see this later, when you have somebody like councilperson James Lannis talk about how it's better than in the past. He didn't exist in the past here. He never was part of this city. He came to the city with only one agenda, and that was to promote his lifestyle. And so, you know, people, you really ought to be upset. We're going to play another video clip here. I think this might be the former mayor. Trash? Well, let's play it. We'll see. We'll see what it is. And then I'll comment on it.
For the public's information, I do want to review the summary of the settlement agreement that we're working on with Mr. Schreier. Before I go to this page, I should show the property in question is at County Road D and Hazelwood. If we can zoom into this map, the summary of the settlement is what's called a total take. We will acquire the entire parcel, and then in the remainder of the land will be conveyed through the council, either to the EDA or the council directly. Will resell the land and cover it as much of its expenses for the acquisition as necessary. The settlement proposal is as shown. We'll go through some of the details. Appraisals were the city at appraisal at $575,000. The property owner, Azure Properties, had $1,050,000 was their ask.
Well, I was trying to get the attention of the control room there. I wanted to set this up a little bit. They were on the phone in there. The issue here is, if you listen, and I wanted to get it right away, the name of this company, but the company, and we do have phone calls, is from my information and from what you just heard there, is owned by Dick Schreier. Dick Schreier, from all the information, the big campaign contributor to Will Rossbach, Billy Rossbach. So what you need to understand, there's a piece of property here, and this is over on County Road D in Hazelwood. That's a little bit east and on the north side of Costco over there. The property was appraised at $500,000. If you listen to what got said there, the owner, Dick Schreier, wanted $1 million. so, or $1.2 million, and so the city agrees on $800,000 and then a bunch of other costs, so it comes back up to $980,000. Anyway, right back up to $1 million. And so, once again, why is the city, through condemnation, taking a piece of property, and we don't even know that it's condemnation, but that's what the word that was used, taking a piece of property and then for $1 million, and then you'll hear Mr. Chuck All say, we intend to sell it for $600,000, except it was only appraised by the city for $500,000 for when they hired the appraisers. So we've already overpaid $500,000, and so the city's going to take it in the shorts here again. And of course, Mr. Schreier, I think the company's name is Aztec, and is going to come out on a sweetheart deal. So Monday night, this is the same Schreier that they built that retaining wall on his property for him for a tune of about $250,000. That was on there last night. That retaining wall is by Macomb Pond, which is, you know, where the old library was on Beam Avenue. Well, the next office to the west towards Minneapolis, right next door, there's a pond back in there. That business is owned by Schreier, and from the information we have, and so the city's going back there and putting in the retaining wall for them. So in one night, this guy comes out with about $1,200,000. It's just unbelievable how they'll reward their buddies. How does this why would the city take a piece of property if their stated intent is to just turn around and sell it back off? What are they in there for? You know, when you take property under like eminent domain, you're going to build a road or a school on it. And the state government came in and said, no, we're going to, because they used to be able to take it for anything and everything. Like for the Best Buy store out there on 494 where they threw out all the car dealerships. Well, after that, the state cleaned it up and says, no, there has to be you can't give it to one business and take it from another. It's for a legitimate government use. Well, what's the use here? When you condemn a piece of property, there has to be something wrong with it. You know, it has to be deficient in some way. Well, there was nothing about this property being deficient. Matter of fact, it was appraised, and the city intends to sell it. So what's going on here, folks? Other than, once again, Dick Schreier, through another company, a promoter, is on the receiving end of the taxpayers via Billy Rossbach and city council members, James Lanas, John Nephew, Marv Copen, Kathy Juneman. All right, do we want a phone? Should we play that or take the phone call? You decide. Phone call. All right, caller, are you with us? Question or comment?
Hi, Bob. Good show once again, and I'm sure glad you're there to speak up for residents and taxpayers and citizens of Maplewood, because the council members up there of Maplewood and the chair certainly aren't on the side of the rest of us out here who just pay the taxes. Also, Bob, this Eureka controversy or scam, if, as the chair says, Eureka is a private company, how come they're always, I turn on your channel, the channel you're on, channel 15 out here, and they're always, it's like an never-ending ad for Eureka. Which other private businesses get a constant ad? Eureka is a wonderful company. Eureka, recycle with Eureka. Why do they get away with that out on your channel when other businesses couldn't even get highlighted at all? And it's just week after week, month after month. I don't think that channel 15, where you're broadcasting now, runs much else except these Eureka ads, endless Eureka ads. Why is that, Bob?
Caller.
Thank you.
caller, here's the deal.